Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 67. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the crackling Mike Christensen.
Bzzz.
Mike, are you always a mosquito deterrent machine?
Well, basically what happened is I saw the Hulk comic book villain Zaz.
Oh, right.
Is that his name? No.
Zaz is a Batman
Batman
villain
is villain. We're already off the
who
road.
is like a serial killer.
What is the name of the Hulk villain I'm thinking of?
Maybe he's the Crackling Man?
No, there's an Electric Hulk villain.
Electro.
No, it's like a bunch of... It's mostly the same consonant over and over again.
Is it... Oh, you know what? That's a Green Lantern. That's what I just said.
What?
Yep, that's a Green Lantern. I believe he's a fly.
Bzzz is a Green Lantern villain?
No, a Green Lantern.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is a fly Green Lantern.
I'm sorry. My mistake. What I said was silly. Anyway, look at me crackle. Hey, guys, comic books.
What a great transition.
This is... 67 times we're just getting better and better.
We are getting better, I think.
It's just so fluid. Anyway... Every so often, when we make an episode of this, every other week, we talk about... Zizax is his name.
Thank you.
ZZZAX.
We almost got out of there, but we're right back in it.
Anyway, we talk about comic books, and we talk about the comics that are on our pull list, which is when we go to the comic book store, or really these days when we go online, because we're very busy, and I don't work near a comic book store anymore.
Neither do I.
I don't think Jay does either, so we just read them online. But if you go to a comic book store, you can put things on your pull list, and every time that comes out, they'll be like, yeah, we'll hold on to this for you. What comics should you put on your pull list? Well, Jay and I have some suggestions. Jay?
Yes,
go
I would
ahead
love to. Yeah, no, I'll go. Right now?
Tell us what comic.
Right now?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, sure. Bit over. So, guys, my comic is by Marvel. Never heard of him.
Yep.
It's called The Unworthy Thor. It is written by Jason Aaron and Olivier Coipel. Or Coipel.
Olivier Coipel, I believe.
I believe that's right.
For the art, right?
And yeah, like that guy.
He is one of my favorite artists.
Oh my god, what a powerhouse! As an artist, right away, like when I heard that he was working on a Thor book, which he has made Thor a household name for the last decade.
Yeah,
he's
been
been on and off with his books.
Oh my god, you're right. It was about 10 years ago that he did Thor with Straczynski. God, that was a good looking book.
Yeah, and he's a fantastic artist. And then to cap that all off, Jason Aaron is the writer, and I was like, all right, well, I got to get into this because Jason Aaron, for me, is kind of batting 1,000 right now with his books. He's killing it. I mean, I'm still reading Southern Bastards. I talked about it on this podcast. It's amazing. You talked about Star Wars, and I think I also reviewed The Goddamned he did as well, so I really enjoy his writing.
We've talked about his Thor run as well. He's been writing Thor for a while.
Well, that's the thing. I think I talked about on this show his Thor run. It was the God Butcher was his big villain.
His first arc, yeah.
Yeah, and it was amazing, and I really loved it, and I am very interested to see him come back to the Thor series. I think he's actually currently running the other Thor series with, if people don't know, Thor is no longer Thor right now, and that's what this is kind of about, why it's called The Unworthy Thor. Thor currently is actually Jane Foster. So Jane Foster, who, if you guys don't know the character, she is the woman played by Natalie Portman in the Thor movies. She's a astrophysicist and currently in the Thor run.
I think in the books she's just a doctor.
Yeah.
She's a medical doctor. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But she's an on again off again love interest of Thor's.
Yeah. And we might get into her book series eventually. But as of right now, all you need to know is Thor is not Thor. His hammer Mjolnir is being held by Jane Foster, who's now Thor, and he kind of goes by Odin's son, which is interesting that even though his name is Thor, when he doesn't have the hammer, he goes by Odin's son instead.
Well, it's the one title they couldn't take away from him.
Yeah, I guess so. So basically, that's what he goes as. And another thing to keep in mind is Thor actually is missing a left arm.
I wondered about that when I saw the cover. So he is missing it.
Yes, he is missing his left arm. It is
because
not
he has a metal.
It looks like a black metal over his left arm going right up to his left shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's because I actually read this in the Thor run. This was right after the God Butcher series, but Thor had his left arm cut off completely by Malekith, who is, if you don't know Malekith from the comics, he's the villain from the second Thor movie, Thor: The Dark World.
He has the same name as the villain in Thor: The Dark World.
Not a great portrayal of Malekith. Malekith is oftentimes considered like the Joker of the Thor villains. He's very creepy and crazy. He's this evil dark elf.
Loves knives.
Loves knives. Very similar inspiration, but basically that's where he lost his arm. So now his arm is replaced with this kind of malleable uru. It's the metal that makes his hammer, Mjolnir. So it's a very powerful arm. But right now he's just kind of rolling around space trying to become worthy again. If you don't know how this happened or why he lost his hammer, in this big crossover series, I think it was called Original Sin, the Watcher, who's the big baby-looking guy who watches everything.
He does look like a baby.
He does look like a giant baby.
He's adorable.
Was killed and told Thor a secret.
It's not a dead baby joke.
It's not a dead
he's
baby
not
joke.
a baby.
He was like, "This is so offensive," and dropped his hammer forever. Or no, he laughed at it, and
Yeah.
then he couldn't pick up the hammer.
Oh well.
But jokes aside, he got some terrible secret whispered to him. We still don't know what it is. And I'm assuming the end of this series will answer that question, because at some point you gotta. And eventually he lost the hammer. He couldn't pick it up again once he learned the secret. And now he's traversing space, kind of just dicking around. I mean, he's kind of just trying to become worthy again in so many ways. But more or less, he's just fighting trolls and fighting space things, and it's awesome. And Jason Aaron does an amazing job of balancing the drama and the really amazing, like, Thor humor that comes with that character. He does an amazing job, especially in this opening issue. There's only one issue out at this time, but I really suggest picking it up because it does an amazing job kind of setting the landscape of what's happened to Thor, if you don't know with any of these crossovers or things like that, and then kicking it off into this new arc. All you really need to know, Thor is unworthy. He needs a new, and here's the big part of the arc, it seems like, he's looking for a new hammer. So there's actually, apparently, another hammer out there that he is searching for, and he has news of where this hammer might be. And there's a couple other amazing things that happen at the end of the comic I don't want to spoil, as well as a really cool cameo, so definitely check it out. Some of the highlights of this issue I do want to mention, though, he's got his axe back. If anyone read the Jason Aaron God Butcher run, it did a really cool thing where it was showing Thor through 3 different periods of time: when he was young, when he was our current Thor, and when he was king, older Thor. And young Thor, I always loved this axe he had. That was awesome. And he has it back now because he doesn't have his hammer. His axe is called Yarnbjorn, which is such a cool axe. It's a cool, fun name, fun to say. Also, this comic has, it references goat power. He says he can't traverse space anymore with Mjolnir, so he has to traverse space on goat power, which is amazing. It's a giant goat. It's a giant space goat with awesome antlers. It's basically like 3 Thors tall, I guess you could say. And its name is Tooth Gnasher, and it's awesome. It's a goat. It's a goat that is his buddy. And
That's pretty great.
yeah, so I mean, guys, goat power, a really cool new Thor arc, and it's a really cool way to kind of reset the character to be like, where can we take him now? Let's make him worthy once more. I love it. So, Mike, that was my poll. What is your poll for this episode?
My poll is Raven from DC Comics,
Ooh.
who is a character I only know from cartoons and adaptations.
From Teen Titans?
Yeah, from Teen Titans cartoons, but I have not read very much Teen Titans at all. So my exposure to the character is through cartoons and through adaptations like that. The series is written by Marv Wolfman, who has actually written a good deal of Teen Titans. He relaunched the series back in the 80s, so he knows Raven real well. And the art is by Alisson Borges, I believe that's how it's pronounced. I don't believe that's how it's pronounced, but I believe that is how I pronounced it just now.
You did.
And it's interesting because it is, for those who don't know the character of Raven, she is someone who has a basically demon father who wants to use her power to destroy the world, and she's always believed that is, probably rightly, believed that is where her destiny is going to lead her.
Common superhero origin.
Yeah. She has discovered that she has family she doesn't know about on the non-demon side, and so she is living with her aunt and uncle and cousins in San Francisco and attending regular school for the first time.
What do they say what grade she's in, or what
I think
year?
she's 16, so
sophomore, junior.
yeah, right around there.
Okay.
And she is meeting friends for the first time and using her empathy powers to either get in nice and try to smooth over the initial hey, I'm a weirdo, and make friends, but also if she doesn't like someone, she can mess with their brains a little bit and be like, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and make you see something you don't like and then just sort of walk away.
Like what high schoolers normally do to each other.
I mean, more or less. I mean, I saw Mean Girls. That's kind of what they did.
Without the magic.
Yeah. Well, it's a different kind of magic.
Yeah.
But there's also some weird magic stuff happening in her life, and it seems to be similar to what she can do, but not tied to the same source.
And her powers they're like kind of like demon powers?
Well, her powers are an extension of like telepathy and telekinesis.
Okay.
So she can like make things levitate and move things around. She can fly. She can teleport. She's empathetic. She has some hypnosis abilities as well. But she is also seeing someone with interesting powers. I shouldn't say any details, but she is seeing power that seems similar to her own in her sort of environment, but doesn't seem to be tied to Trigon, her demon father. It's interesting because she's trying to figure out how much of that is, like, what is going on.
Right.
There's definitely weird supernatural things happening in this first arc that she is trying to investigate and examine. And we're also getting a little refresher on her powers and how she can, like, sort of project herself astrally and things like that. There are only 2 issues out so far. I kind of don't want to go into that much more detail. The art is really, really good. The writing is good. Sometimes when people write young people, it really doesn't translate well at all. Now, granted, some of the young people dialogue here is a little bit like, all right, I don't know how much young people talk that way, but it's also like, you know, sometimes they do. I'm 28 now, so I don't actually know how young people talk.
Right.
So
who does?
Who can say what those strange young little progeny talk about on their mundaneness? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, that was a good description.
I don't know.
Of
I feel
children.
like, what is all this gray hair coming out of my
Oh, God.
chin? What's happening?
Oh, no.
Ah.
All right, Mike, that was a great pull. Now take us to the main segment. Mike, kick things off.
This pull got really weird. Anyway, you should read Raven. It's a fun series, and I'm liking it. It's also interesting to see Raven's new design. It's the new 52 design, where her hood is a little bit more, like, feathered, almost. It's interesting.
Like a raven.
Oh, you know what? I just got there. No, I made the connection. But it's an interesting series, and I'm liking it, and I'm not a character that I know that well. So it's just fun to kind of get in her head. She's very goth and very aware of it, and very much doesn't like people, but she also doesn't like being the new kid that no one likes. So this weird kind of balancing act for her.
It's that high school balance.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah. So
being liked but not too liked.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out her place in the world, and
That perfect Venn diagram.
she keeps referencing, like, in the first issue, she references, like, her friends warned her about things about high school, like, yeah, you'll have to, like, have conversations with people, so
What a nightmare.
good luck, Raven. She's very, very antisocial.
Good luck, person named Raven.
Well, her real name is Rachel Roth, but she goes by Raven.
But she goes by Raven.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, Mike, that was a great pull, and we're glad that whatever just happened subsided, that dark cracklingness.
My nose is bleeding. What's going on?
Guys, that'll take us to our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
Here we go! X-Men, The Ties That Bind. So I was originally going to talk about an X-Men comic that was set around Thanksgiving, because it's almost Thanksgiving.
It is almost.
And it was Uncanny X-Men 308. And I read it, and not that much happened. And the reason,
They
though...
had Thanksgiving dinner,
Well,
and everybody went home.
What happened was that, some of the guys played pickup football, and they had to explain football to Bishop, who doesn't understand sports from
Why would he?
Because he's from the future, and his future's an apocalypse, and he's a bummer. And then, of course, there's shenanigans, and the Beast is really good at football because he used to play in high school, and also he's a Beast man. So
True.
both of
All
those
true
things
things.
make him very good at... But mostly the structure of the issue was Scott and Jean walking around and kind of recapping their history together, their backstory, which is why it's not that interesting for a podcast, because it's just like, hey, here's the thing that happened, and here's this other thing, and here's us walking around.
It's like a comic clip show.
Kind of. I mean, not all of it was stuff that we'd seen, but a lot of it was. So it was sort of just like a bottle episode, just sort of like, all right, that was kind of nice, fine, whatever. But at the end, the big noteworthy thing that happened was that Jean proposed to Scott.
What?
And so at Thanksgiving dinner, they announced that they are going to be married.
Aww.
And Xavier pushes aside any of the hesitation that he has and just sort of thinks, well, for this moment, I'm happy. Because, things are bad for the X-Men all the time.
Always.
And, even this moment, he's like, oh, this could end badly. But you know what? I'll have nice stuff.
That's a terrible, first instinct to be when someone gets engaged, oh no, someone's gonna die soon.
It's not even that. It's just, there's some sort of, unspoken... I mean, literally, because he's just thinking it to himself. This sort of, unease to him. But he doesn't get into it. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that comic because it's not going to translate well to the series. What we are going to talk about is X-Men number 30, The Wedding of Jean Grey and Scott Summers.
Ooh.
And this issue opens with Jean reading a note from Logan.
Nice.
Well, so here's the thing. Logan...
Come on, Logan.
No, here's the thing. Logan has been away for a little bit. He was actually away in 308 as well. He's taking a leave of absence because Magneto ripped all the metal out of his body, and he needs to take some time and recover and heal.
I feel like you would need some time to
Just kind of be by yourself.
put yourself back together, literally.
Also, side note, apparently Sabretooth is at the mansion.
What? Just hanging out?
Not hanging out. Apparently he's some sort of prisoner, but when we see him, he's not in a cell. He's like out on a hill. We'll see him later, but that is mentioned. That Sabretooth is around.
Fair enough.
It is not going to be the first... Well, it might be the first. It's not going to be the only time that they ever open the doors to Sabretooth, but I don't know. I feel like it never goes well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, we should also mention this this issue is written by Scott Lobdell, and the art is by Andy Kubert.
Awesome.
Anyway, she's reading a note from Logan. It's in cursive, so I feel like it's probably not really from Logan. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
probably.
like this is like it was a scroll or Mystique or something. Like,
Yeah.
how would you? I feel like Logan doesn't know cursive.
No, I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
I feel like he learned it, and then he got his memory wiped, and now he doesn't write in cursive.
He writes in claw marks.
But also,
you
you
sure
know-
he didn't send it on like a tree of bark or
Well,
something?
also though, there are like holes and stuff like in the paper, like it's like an old scroll, and it's
What?
like this is a new letter that like was sent to her in the mail. Like, was it like beat up by the postman? It's so weird to be like, I guess Logan must have written it. There's a hole in the corner. I don't know. Anyway,
It's a letter to perfectly describe Wolverine's character. Is that he is just a mystery. It's like old parchment, but like beautiful calligraphy.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah.
He's like a man of mystery.
Anyway, he sort of writes in the letter that, you know, they have something special, Scott and Jean, not he and Jean. I should clarify what I meant by they.
Exactly, because Logan has a track record being a bit of a cockblock.
It's a fair point. No, he says that they're... But also, he says, you go together like fire and ice, like a hurricane in its eye. It sounds strange, but it fits. One can't exist without the other. One can make the whole stronger than the parts. But, like, that's not how fire and ice work.
I was about to say, like, in fact, they both don't exist with each other.
Right,
Like,
they- like-
in fact, they exist very well.
They have a
without each other.
volatile reaction
Yeah.
when brought in contact with each other.
Like, I have a hurricane and, like, a hurricane. Like, that makes sense.
I get, yeah,
Yeah.
like one is the stabilizing force, the other is more
yeah,
wild.
But definitely fire and ice is
A
incorrect.
real bad example. Anyway, he feels like the sum of his parts aren't as good as the whole anymore, so he's
Well,
taking
Mike,
a
you know what
leave
it
of
was.
absence.
You know what? I'm gonna figure this out right now. Beautiful calligraphy. He finally got it down, and he got like halfway into the letter, and he's like, "Fire and ice doesn't make sense." Screw it. I'm just gonna make it. I'm gonna make it better with like hurricane and I. I'm not gonna write this again.
It sounds strange, but it fits. Damn it. Sure, buy that back. But anyway, he says that, you know, looking at them taking the next step in their lives makes him wonder maybe if there's a next step for him to make, and he's got to do some thinking. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Gina's getting ready. She's reading this letter as she's being fitted into her dress. Aurora Storm is her maid of honor. I was about to like best woman. Nope, that's not what that's called. And meanwhile, Jean's mother is helping fit the dress as well. And someone else is there, Rachel Summers, who is a character. Jay, I don't know if you know very much about her.
I don't know much about Rachel Summers.
She is from the Days of Future Past,
Okay.
and she is the child of Scott and Jean.
Oh wow.
And when they first met,
Appropriate, I
well,
guess.
when she met Jean, I guess they got off to a bit of a rocky start. But now, like, they're like on good terms. They're friends. And Jean says, like, no, at this point we're more than friends. Like, look, if this wedding means there's even the slightest chance that tomorrow I'll have Rachel Summers for a daughter, then that makes this twice as much of a blessing. And so it's a really nice moment. However, the narration, which at first seemed to be from maybe Jean's perspective or Rachel's, no, it's someone else, because we are panning over to the groomsmen. The narrator seems still a little bit apprehensive about what's going on. The narrator, of course, being able to look in on all these people and their moments and thinking about it. The narrator's Xavier. We're in Xavier's head at this point. Also, weird that he's watching people like... I mean, she's already dressed. It's not like he's spying.
Still strange,
Still
though.
weird. Still weird.
I think we've talked about in previous episodes that Xavier is not not on the up and up kind of dude.
Xavier's not an awesome dude.
No.
He's just not an awesome dude, guys. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But I mean, Patrick Stewart Xavier is great, but actual comic Xavier not so much.
Yeah. Anyway, the groomsmen are... well, I mean, there's only one. I guess there's only a best man and a maid of honor. They're not like whole bridal parties. But all the fellas are gathered together, and they're trying to figure out how to tie a bow tie. Because it's 1994, and you can't just like, hey, YouTube, how to tie a bow tie, and none of them can figure it out.
Oh, man, so easy. So easy to do that now.
Even like, even Warren Worthington, Angel, is like, yeah, wear clip-ons. Like, that's what I did when I was a rich, wealthy guy. Like, that's the way to do it. And anyway, you know, there's the moment where, there's some nervousness about what's going on, that general about to get married apprehension. But then Xavier comes in his floating yellow chair.
Nice.
His Shire
Classic
alien
90s.
technology. Yeah, his 90s as hell thing. And he's like, here, guys, I know you're all nervous. And he's tying the tie as he goes. But he's tying it, like, free. Like, it's not around anyone's neck. Which is... I've never dealt that much with bow ties. But don't you, like... You want it around the person's neck already.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's not like a necktie where you can, like, I'll just loosen it and flip it back on.
I'm
like,
pretty sure you can't do that with bow ties.
I mean, certainly you need it around something. He's just dyeing it loose. And it's like, I feel like that would be
Like-
way
like-
more difficult.
Like a demonstration at the beginning of like an airplane. Like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
everybody, this is how you buckle a seatbelt. All right, everybody, for the ones that don't know, this is how you tie a bow tie.
But anyway, he says, I'm as nervous as all of you are. The wedding is forcing me to look at all of us in a new light. What I've known for some time now is made official in a way by today's events. The hard, simple truth is that you're all undeniably adults now. That leads me to question myself and wonder, do any of you really need the old prof anymore? Your tie is ready. And Cyclops says, was that by chance a setup? And he says, actually, I stumbled into that analogy by accident. But, like, the analogy totally disproves what he was going for. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
I guess he just wants to be wanted, wants to be needed. Anyway, they give him his bow tie. Truth to tell, Professor, without you by my side, I'd feel safer walking into the danger room alone and naked right now, rather than face what's coming next.
Weird that he added that naked part.
It is strange, right? That is real weird.
It's real weird.
Anyway, they go out and they take this first step together, and they go out to the wedding ceremony, and Xavier switches from his floating chair to a regular wheelchair because he can't have the guests seeing that he's got alien technology.
I guess?
I guess. So here's the first of many I guesses. We'll get there. But as he's climbing in, a letter falls from his jacket, and Rachel picks it up and says, oh, you got a letter from Logan too. Like, and he says, yeah, I've just been putting off reading it. Just never felt like the right moment.
Is it also on super weird old paper and beautiful calligraphy?
It's still in the envelope, but the envelope seems fine. So the postman was fine with one of them. So I don't know what's going on. But she says, goodbyes are always tough, especially if you think there's still a lot left to be said before parting, which is true. But then they go out to the wedding, which is out on the lawn of the Xavier mansion.
Nice.
And
it's nice to live in like a wedding location.
Yeah, essentially. And there's a lot of people in the audience who I'm sure fans would recognize a lot of them. I recognize some of them.
Cool.
So, like, Beast.
Is Mr. Sinister in the audience?
No,
Damn.
Beast and Nightcrawler and Archangel. I'm not going to read all the people who are there. There's a lot of X-Men there, guys.
Doof?
No. You mean Dupe?
Oh, Dupe.
Dupe's not there, no. Polaris is there. Guido is there. Rogue and Gambit are there. There's some X-Men.
Wonderful.
And as they all stand there, oh, and also Leech and Artie Maddox are there in the front. They're two little weird-looking alien-looking mutants.
Good. God
Yeah.
forbid again that he rides out in that alien chair.
I-
It would have been real awkward for everyone in that
Yeah,
audience.
I want to point out 3 of the people attending are blue. Three of them, because Angel is blue right now.
That's so strange.
Yeah. Lila Cheney begins playing. She's a rock star who showed up a lot in the New Mutants.
Nice.
So she's a friend of the X-Men.
Pretty good get for your wedding.
Yeah, plays, and of course, Cyclops' best man is his brother Havoc.
Of course.
And as Jean comes out in her like wedding dress, and she's got like a cape and a hood, because it's X-Men and it's
Yeah.
comics, and like it's cool. Being led out by her father, and they do the ceremony. They tie a little bow around the hands of Scott and of Jean, and the priest reads their vows that they wrote, but like they wrote them, but he's just reading them.
Interesting.
And it's an interesting format. Yeah, he says, there were times I was lost and you found me. There were days which were heavy and you lightened my heart. Through it all, since the day we met, there was you for me and me for you. That hasn't changed. That will never change. Times have been good and times been bad. Times have been bad. I'm sorry, they didn't suddenly turn into a country song halfway through. Times been good and times been bad. And still our love has endured and triumphed. Historically untrue, but nice to say at a wedding.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you gotta
Yeah.
put a little bit of...
Yeah, for sure. I take Scott Summers to be my lawfully wedded husband. I take Jean Grey to be my lawfully wedded wife. And through pain and passion, through sorrow and hope, through death and through life, no matter what tomorrow may bring, we will face it together. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Let's see a kiss now, is what the guy says. And like it's a close-up shot on the priest, and he looks super creepy.
Yeah, I was
and I know
gonna say.
he's not meant to be creepy, but he looks like Stryker or something. Like
Yeah.
he's like sneering, like
Let's
see a kiss now, and it's like super
It's
weird.
not even like the classic words. It's
No.
like, you may now kiss the bride.
Yeah,
Right? Like
the two of you may now kiss was fine.
Yeah.
Like, let's see a kiss. Like who is this guy? Like, first of all, why is Nightcrawler not marrying them?
Yeah.
Like, why is he not? Because we know that he, maybe not yet, but he's certainly in the future an ordained priest, I believe.
He could at least, be a minister like pretty easily.
Yeah. Anyone can marry someone. He can certainly. Well, I'm sure he could go down to the courthouse. It's fine.
Yeah.
He has an image inducer. He could go whatever. Anyway, they're married and they do the first dance, and they make a big point. Oh, the song is won by you two. So it sure is 1994 up
Thanks.
in here.
You two shout out.
It's like a big plot point almost. And Xavier sort of laments the fact that he envies the dancing. Long ago, he used to slide like Gene Kelly on the dance floor.
Really? Xavier Gene Kelly used to slide around like Gene Kelly. For anyone who doesn't know who Gene Kelly is, go online and look him up. Xavier probably never slid around like Gene Kelly.
Anyway, out in the snow. Oh, by the way, they made a big plot point, or not a big plot point, but it was mentioned earlier. It's January and it's super nice and sunny where they are because the maid of honor can control the weather. So not that far away, it's like a snowy hill, and there's a figure watching, and their breath is misting up, and they've got a hat and a coat and metal gloves on and a metal mask over their mouth.
Ooh.
These are things designed to keep Sabretooth from
Sabertoothing?
Sabertoothing, exactly. They are meant to inhibit him. The ethics of that are curious. But anyway, he's like sort of looking at them like, even without this stuff, like I can totally, and someone kicks him in the back and he turns around and they can't see where they are, and something's written in the snow. It says, "Don't even think about it."
Wait, written in the snow in front of Sabretooth?
As he turns around, this person who kicked him in the back wrote that in the snow.
Oh, before he kicked him.
Well, or simultaneously.
That's a pretty quick snow handwriting.
Well, we can assume that whoever this is has sometimes thought about being a samurai, and it oftentimes...
Is it in beautiful calligraphy, Mike? Written in the snow?
It's not. But it's ambiguous, but later in comics it has been confirmed that was Logan. So
Gotcha.
He still made a showing, all the same. Anyway, they have their dinner, and Beast and Bobby sort of lament the fact that they don't have dates, and Havoc and Polaris are talking about the whole like, oh yeah, we're dating, and people are asking us like if we're gonna get married, and that's what it's like to be dating at a wedding. Like that's just it's not good for anybody. Weddings aren't good for anybody.
Yeah, weddings are just terrible, guys. We highly recommend not to go to or be in one.
Yeah. And then Cable is there, and he and Dr. Cooper are like, oh yeah, I know I'm wanted by your government, so just pretend you didn't see me. Cool. That's normal. That's a normal thing that happens at weddings too.
Yeah, all the time.
They do the flower toss, and as they toss it, Rogue flies over everyone's head and catches it.
Rogue,
cheating.
Come on.
Meanwhile, then they do, or not meanwhile, but then they do the garter toss as Scott pulls the garter off of Jean, tosses it, and all the guys scramble for it, which is not how it works at all.
Yep, no.
Like every wedding I've been to, the guys don't scramble for the garter. Like, just doesn't happen. But then there's this like flash of purple energy, and Gambit is twirling the garter around his finger. I don't know. Did he blow something up?
Yeah, wait.
Because there is smoke. There is smoke like billowing from around him as if he has blown something up, and it is very.
The carcass of Polaris is laying there in the ground.
I know. What did he blow up? Because he's holding the garter, but he says, "Now, mes amis, you didn't think I'd give anyone else a chance to slip this on the little lady, did you? I think not. Because I think at some weddings you slip the garter onto either the person who caught it or the bride. I'm not sure. I've never seen that done.
Yeah, neither have I.
But
interesting.
And then they do.
Look, Gambit's got a lot of weird things going on, man.
Yeah.
He could have just made that up on the spot. We don't know. Or we just poorly mistranslated what he said.
Yeah, it's true too. There's lots of options. They cut the cake and Jean shoves it into Scott's face. Weddings. But I don't think Scott shoves it in Jean's face, which is good.
Because she has Phoenix powers and
also,
might melt his bones.
She spent a lot of time on her makeup. Guys, don't shove the cake.
Guys, don't do it.
It's not cool. It's not funny. Like, it's just, she's not going to have a good time. It's just like,
a
little dab on the nose, maybe that's fine.
A couple people in the audience might laugh or be surprised, but like about 5 seconds after, you're going to feel real bad.
Yeah, don't do that. Anyway, they do the dance and the dancing, and I guess later in the night, Jean comes over to Xavier and levitates him out of his chair, and he says, Jean, some of the people here, they don't know about us, presumably that they are mutants. I guess?
I think so.
I want to remind you.
There are blue people in the audience.
Yeah, so here's the thing. What she says next is, most of the guests have left, which there's a lot of X-Men that were in the audience. So, like, all of them are still there, like, in the background, but, like, whatever. But she says, and what if they did know about us, Charles, that I'm a mutant? Or that I want to celebrate the best day of my life? dancing with you is what makes me happy, and being a mutant gives me the opportunity to do that, then there's nothing in this world I would rather be than a mutant. And I'm proud to dance with the man who taught me that being one should in no way limit the happiness I should enjoy, or the love I might share with those I'm blessed to call my family. Which is nice if he wasn't, like, preaching the opposite through this whole comic. Xavier, by the way, is generally speaking a horrible influence. Like, he has a great influence on these people in terms of living their lives openly, and he refuses to do it himself. Like, he is a huge hypocrite about this stuff.
Massive hypocrite.
And in this case in particular, it's very dumb because, like, hey, Charles, like, 3 of the people in the audience were blue. Guido, his name is Strongman, and he is very, very tall, and it's very strange. 2 of the people one of the people there has a big M tattooed over his face.
Yeah.
Because he's a mutant from another future, and that's what you did to mutants. Like, Xavier, you're dumb.
Like,
you're a dumb person.
Your school is definitely known. Like, they have to know.
Maybe it's
like,
not to, like, all the guests, but, like, hey, guess what?
I would be very surprised. Like, oh, where are we going? Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Like,
well,
who's getting married? Jean. Oh, our mutant cousin.
yeah.
I bet they know that. She doesn't have a code name. That's a point that they mentioned in episode 308, issue 308, when they're like, oh, what's your announcement? Did Jean decide on a code name? Oh, no, nothing that exciting. We're just getting married. So Jean doesn't have a code name.
Yeah.
She's just Jean Grey. She is out in public fighting she's a superhero. It's
And
Jean
the
Grey.
people here are close family and friends. Like,
Yeah.
they either
It's not like a
definitely
party
already know
of
they're mutants.
200 people. It's a very small wedding party.
Yeah, also, if your family, like, rumors get around pretty quick.
Yeah.
Probably number 1 would be, oh, my daughter or your niece or your aunt is a mutant, by the way.
She had a friend, I guess, who died when she was a kid, and she went into a catatonic state because she was in her brain when it happened. Like, she heard it happen. Like, she was like, oh, crap. So, like, if you had a cousin who was in a catatonic state for, like, 3 months when their friend died, and also mutants existed, doesn't matter if it's true or not, you would think they were a mutant. Like, Xavier, you're dumb. You're a dumb person.
So dumb.
You're not very smart. Anyway, that night, Xavier's in his study, and Scott comes in and says, oh, I got a message from my father. He sent the best. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but Scott's father is a space pirate.
Yeah,
so.
I know. It's amazing.
And Alex is going to drive Jean and Scott to the airport and give them a chance to talk because I guess Jamie Madrox recently died, so Alex is still taking that kind of hard.
Oh.
Jamie Madrox isn't dead right now, so I guess he died for a little bit. I didn't know that, but it doesn't really surprise me.
Tracks.
And anyway, they talk. They're very, very bleak, very, very brief, I should say, reference to the legacy virus, which is the virus that's killing mutants, but that goes by pretty
Normal
quickly.
car discussion talk on the way to an airport.
No. This is with Scott and Xavier in his study.
Oh, okay.
So before he's left. But he says, if not for you, this never would have happened. If not for you, there'd be no hoping that tomorrow could even be a better day. And Xavier says, it's hard to imagine, Scott, how a day could be happier than this one was. And Scott says, that's the point, sir. Because of what you've taught us, how you raised me, I fully expect it can and will be a better day. I just wanted you to know that. I wanted to finally tell you that if it weren't for you, for your guidance and your courage, okay, for the sense of purpose you've given me, as a paramilitary soldier in your teens,
Yep.
I would have been lost. You saved me. You gave my life meaning, gave me hope, gave me the chance to become something more, better than I would have ever been. For all that, I thank you, and I want to say, I love you, Charles Xavier.
Aww.
And he leaves, and Xavier goes through his notes. I think this is where the legacy virus reference happens. But then
Because that would have been odd if that was in that specific conversation.
It's like I think it's in a letter from Moira McTaggart. She mentions like, oh, this could hold the key to a vaccine, and he finds that letter from Logan, and he opens it up and he reads it. And it says, "Dear Chuck, lighten up, your old pal Logan." And Xavier laughs.
That's a great and timely letter.
Yeah, and Xavier finally laughs, and the caption describes it as a dawning of a new hope.
Aw, very nice. Good job, Logan. Also pretty spot on. He was like, I knew this guy
It's
would
like,
be just a
this
grumpy
guy's gonna
bastard.
need this. This old fogey's gonna need some cheering up.
Well, like literally the entire day, he couldn't have been more unhappy at like every possible moment.
It was very bittersweet
Yeah.
for him, but it should have just been sweet. And then Logan's like, I know you, Chuck.
You need to just take it easy. Have
Take
a good
chill
time.
pill.
Oh boy, well done, Logan.
And that is the wedding of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. No supervillains intact, which
Yeah.
I think is very strange for a wedding. There
It is,
no,
especially for the X-Men wedding.
yeah, because I think the Fantastic Four, their wedding was interrupted.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Peter Parker was late to his because
Yep.
of stuff. I think he was late. I'm pretty sure he was.
He had to have been late, probably. I'm sure Yeah, it's crazy to think that the wedding went off without a hitch. That's amazing.
Yeah, or with just the one hitch.
Yeah.
Zing.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Main segment. All right, guys.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right, that was our main segment.
Yep, and that'll take us to our game, Super-Mundane. All right, this is our game, Super-Mundane. This is where I will name a mundane task or activity, and Mike and I will have to decide which hero from Marvel or DC would be the best and who would be the worst at doing said activity. For this episode, our Super-Mundane is who would be the best and worst ride attendant. So this is someone, at an amusement park, you walk up to the front, you're about to get on a ride, and they either, maybe it's at they're running the Ferris wheel or they're running the roller coaster ride, whatever it is, they are the ride attendant. So I think someone like this, a ride attendant who's running like any of these rides, I think they've probably got to have like a little bit of that like personality and flair that matches with the amusement park. You don't want to get up there, someone just be like, hey, welcome.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
ride.
thing. I was thinking of you of a Disney ride that there is a certain amount of theatricality. Not like they go over the top, but they definitely play up. The best ones are like, yes, hop into the, Doom Buggy. Have fun on the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was a reference to the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Haunted Mansion in Latveria.
Ah,
Yeah.
probably also works.
Which is just Doom's Dungeon,
Yeah.
probably.
Have
Welcome.
fun.
You're here
Click.
forever.
Whee! It just drops you. Rolls
Just drops
back.
you into a pit. But it's behind his fireplace.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that would be cool.
yeah. But basically, like, who would be a really good attendant? I think you've got to match the personality of the amusement park you're in, and like have like a little bit of a character, but not too much. You got to match the surroundings.
I have an idea for who would be the worst.
Ooh.
And maybe it's just because she's on my mind because I'm reading about her.
All right, so we'll go backwards to forwards. Who would be the worst?
Raven would not be very good at that.
Raven would probably be pretty terrible. Because also she has empathy powers. So if she's bored, she might make you bored as well.
Ooh, that's true.
She might actually, her mood will match your mood.
And she doesn't like being around people, so she can be more and more agitated as the day goes on.
As the day goes on. So like by the end you're gonna be feeling like anxiety and boredom and like uncomfortable, and you're gonna have a terrible time on that ride.
Yeah, Raven would be really,
And
really
the thing
bad.
is, what works is she probably would get hired. Like if it was like a spooky, like haunted mansion ride, or if it was like a Halloween themed amusement park.
Yeah.
She would
even
definitely
if
be
not,
hired.
she's a teenager, she'd get hired for that kind of
she
job
get
all
hired
the
for
time.
that role. So yeah, you're right. Raven would be terrible. She
Raven
would
would
just
be real bad.
She was like, yeah, man, that roller coaster blew my mind. And you'd be like, yeah, I don't know. This is just all this is all just cheap thrills, and I just want to go home. It's like, all right, man. Is this your first time to Harry Potter Land? But yeah, so that's the worst. So who would be our best then? Who's going to be a better match for people? Like, who's going to amp your level up to match the excitement you're about to feel when you get on that ride?
God, I wish she was a superhero so I could say Mabel from Gravity Falls.
Oh, yeah. She'd be
great.
perfect.
I'm going to actually go with same line, teenager.
Mhm.
But
I think it makes sense that we kind of keep this to the teenager
Jubilee.
realm.
Jubilee from the X-Men.
But would she be the best, though?
Yeah, I feel like she would, though. She's pretty spunky and, like, fiery.
A
And
lot
like,
of high energy.
very high energy. I think she would have fun with it.
And for specific, like, roller coaster rides and stuff like
Yeah,
that, she
yeah.
can even do, like, fireworks and stuff as you
Hey,
go in.
if it's the Haunted Mansion, she's a vampire now.
Oh, you're right.
She's a vampire now.
That's perfect. She's
Uh,
got a lot of energy. She'd really get into it. She seems like she really would be someone who could just take 9 hours of smiling
yeah.
and just, are you ready to go on the ride?
So she's a teenager. She's more of a mall brat, so I don't know. She maybe get bored, but I feel like that was her whole thing. Like, she amused herself at the mall all the time by playing video games. Well, no. Yeah, maybe she's not the best. Also, real quick, I just looked at her Wikipedia page. I think we've talked about this before, but under abilities, the entry is powers of a vampire. And then there's a section for former abilities, and that's the others.
Here's the thing, Mike. If you're a vampire and you're a ride attendant, really what you're looking at is a revolving door of buffet coming through by you at all day.
Yeah,
all day, every day.
if it's old teenage, X-Men Jubilee, like maybe, but maybe she'd get bored.
She also might get hungry.
If it's present day, since she might vampire someone.
Yeah, which is, not what you want in your top ride attendant.
Not ideal.
So
No.
who would be the best? I'm trying to think from like a, what about Beast Boy?
Yeah, I thought
Because
about
like
him
if you
too.
had like kind of like a Jungle Cruise ride, like a Splash Mountain, he could look like an animal. He could be like literally a talking green
I
gorilla.
don't think he talks.
He does.
These animals don't
oh,
talk.
You're right. I don't think they do talk.
No.
Then you would just be terrified. 'Cause
Yeah,
you just
I was gonna
walk
say,
up,
I don't.
You
That's
turn
what
the
it
corner
really wants.
and you just see a crocodile, a giant green crocodile. Be like,
like-
why am I here?
And on your left,
like, no.
that was
part
a
of the ride.
gorilla, by the way, for
That
those
was-
listening who couldn't see me beating my chest.
I was very impressed.
My
by
chest
your
hurts now.
impression. Okay, so maybe not Beast Boy.
Ooh, you know what else
true.
would be really terrible? I'm sorry.
We're just making a list of who you would not want.
Thinking of teenage superheroes, and now we're just thinking of people who'd be terrible ride attendants. Quentin Quire would be really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think quite as bad as Raven, but real bad.
Yeah. In a haunted mansion, like Ghost Rider would be really great, though.
He would be really bad at that too.
Yeah, he probably would.
He'd
Man,
be
Ghost
really-
Rider's just bad outside of ghost riding.
He's got one thing he's good
got
at,
one
and he
thing
knows
he's good
it.
at, and he just does it. Not like I'm trying to think, like even like young Peter Parker.
He'd be fine.
He'd be fine, but he would just be Peter Parker. He wouldn't Spider-Man it
Yeah,
out.
nothing really is special about that.
Yeah. This
He
is
wouldn't
a
be the
tough one.
best.
This is tough to be. Who would be the best?
Boom Boom would not be very responsible.
No,
I don't
she would
think.
not. Definitely not. Oh, Nightcrawler. You know what? Nightcrawler is always super personable to people
Yeah,
that he meets.
Nightcrawler's really friendly.
His personality is actually very disarming most
Yeah.
of the time. And he would also work really well for these like haunted mansions.
We're
spooky
really leaning
Halloween
into the
ones.
Haunted Mansion because
Well, we really kind of are. Because here's the thing. I like that we have our worst and our best kind of attending the same amusement park. And
Yeah.
Halloween was just a little while ago, so I think it's okay. Also, I mean, you have like haunted mansions and stuff like that at amusement parks.
And also, if it's not a haunted mansion, he could just wear this image inducer and just not be for that one. You know,
Exactly.
he could just be like a personable guy, and if anything goes wrong, he can teleport over and
Oh,
get the
that's
person
true.
out. Because
That's
like
a-
Raven would also be able to help if anything goes wrong. You know, she'd be good at that.
Yeah.
That's why you hire her.
But she
to a
would
certain
be
degree.
affecting kind of the moods of people coming aboard.
Yeah.
But Nightcrawler is very personable, and you're right. If there was some dangerous thing that was about to happen on the ride, he could teleport in and get him out before anything
And
bad
then he could actually play it off and be like, "Oh yes, it was just the whoa, where was that
That
accent?
was
Hold
that
on.
was
Yes,
spot
of course.
on.
This is the nope, not there either. Germany. Yeah, I was going to. Anyway, that was part of the ride. Would be what he would say, but in a German accent.
But in a German accent. That was excellent, Mike. I really enjoyed that.
That was good accent work. How many accents did I do?
I think you did like 3 in 1.
3 attempts, but how many accents were each of those?
Send in what you thought Mike's accents were.
Ooh, hey, I'm reachable for better or worse on Twitter at
Oh,
Super
God.
Geek Mike.
So yeah, I think those are our picks. I think Nightcrawler is our best, and Raven is probably definitely our worst. She would really bum some people out.
Yeah, she would not be ideal.
All right, guys. Well, that was episode 67 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, all at Partial Arc.
It was all part of the ride. Oh,
Closer? Closer?
Was it?
Oh, God. And be sure to check out more content from our sometimes German comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen.
I'm half German. I'm fourth German.
At partialarc.com, where he writes articles every Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for listening, and remember.
Not everyone knows this, but in fact, I don't think we've talked about it at all.
Ooh.
Jay Jones, you just got married.
I just got married!
Jay got married on Halloween weekend.
And nobody was a big downer about it in their alien chair. Not many.
That's true. We didn't have your the person who raised you and had psychic powers and all that.
Yeah,
he
being
wasn't
real.
He wasn't a bummer.
Yeah, but I got to use my mutant powers pretty freely at the wedding.
That was
which
nice. That was
yeah.
really sweet because it was a small, intimate event.
Uh-huh.
Only like 100 plus people.
100 plus people.
Um,
Very small.
It was very lovely. It was a very nice ceremony. But guys, if you get married, make sure to bring a car that can carry just so much leftover alcohol.
Just so much.
Oh my God, guys! Because there were about 20 cases of Blue Moon left
my
over.
God,
There was
so much alcohol
a
left over.
lot.
Because comics.